Kick us off, baby.
Do what?
Kick us off.
No. I said I'm leaving it to the pros.
All right. What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos.
I'm Freak. Welcome to the show.
And he is Freak. Freak is in the corner, as you can see. Nobody puts Freak in the corner, except for me. All right. And guys, joining us is someone that we mention all the time in the chat. You've heard descriptions about his epic GMing skills when we talk about our D&D sessions. You may have heard some of our tales of him playing against you when we were talking about some of our crazy experiences. Freak mentioned playing against his Death Guard and his ultimate zombie list. I mentioned some games I've had against his Tau, and you may have seen some of our battle reports back in 7th edition against his Imperial Guard. Man, myth, and legend, we have Brother Atlas in the house.
Yay!
What is up, gentlemen?
Hey, watch what you say about my mom.
So, brother, why don't you tell some of these fine hobbyists a little bit about yourself and your hobby experience?
One sec. Let me turn off my fan real quick. That might be what they're hearing in the background.
No, they're hearing
Freak
my
Oh,
compressor.
they heard it? Okay, cool.
Yeah, not you.
I was about to say, my fan is loud as crap. So,
No. Freak was airbrushing.
I'm
I
sorry.
heard it compressor.
Well,
This is the man who makes Mythos cry. That's not true. I say all the time, even when I lose, that Atlas is the nicest guy in the world, and he's always a pleasure to play against. Even if sometimes I'm like, God dang it, Atlas, no, there's no comeback from this.
hey, well,
But there is
no,
a 1 point.
later.
It's still a 0.1111111.9% of a chance that you can win.
I know we're going to talk about it later, but we had that moment.
We
We
did.
had that moment this past Saturday, right?
You right.
And something happened. But man, as far as my hobby goes, I have done nothing. Really. I have a lot of tan on the table, but nothing finished.
Well,
But
before even your hobby update, tell us, give us some of your experience. You've been around since 7th edition, right?
Experience, huh? I've played against Mythos and Freak a lot. I've gotten beat by Mythos and Freak a lot. No.
Wow, ain't that a load of crap?
No. Well, it depends on the edition.
Right.
I think y'all both avoided me during 8th, right?
That's how it went.
Wow. We'll be right back.
I didn't remember it going like that.
Yeah.
Although actually, that kind of is the case for me a little bit, or may seem like it. Not because I was actively ducking you, but you did reach out to me a couple times and say, "Hey man, you want to get in a game this weekend?" And for whatever reason, I just couldn't make any of those particular games.
No. I understand. Both an excuse. It's I picked up Tau in 8th edition, so I think just the threat of possibly playing them was too great, right?
That's true. I can't tell you guys the number of times that he would say, "Hey man, what would you think about playing against my Tau this weekend?" Although I wouldn't even answer him. I would just send back the gif of Scott Pilgrim crashing through the window to get away from his girlfriend. Is Scott home? Psst.
He just left.
Oh gosh. But no, seriously, I know Mythos got me into the game, so he's to blame for all of it. Let's be honest.
Yep.
Every time my wife screams at me and tells me, you can't spend any more money on minis, I say it's Mythos' fault. Promise. No, but
That's why she always gives me a look when I come over here.
don't worry. I think she'll be here whenever you come over next time, so you can explain it to her. Or at least
He's gonna die.
So we were going to the same local game shop for a while, but then when everybody stopped getting in games there, I know a lot of our group kind of fell off the wagon. You continued that on, right? You kept finding new stores and new opponents to play.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to shout out any names or nothing, but yeah, I kept going to different stores, and during this Corona thing, a couple of them actually closed down, which is very disappointing. I don't know if anyone else has had that problem, but two of them that I actually went to before Corona started actually didn't make it through it.
Great.
So now it's a matter of trying to find a new one, you know? That's
know,
always difficult.
And I have heard of actually several game stores closing down for that. If you guys have experienced, one of your favorite hobby shops closing up shop because of this crisis going on, let us know and see if you guys have had any of the same experience. I'd be really interested to know about that.
And yeah, but ever since our group broke up, I went to other stores and played, but it's always a lot more competitive pickup games,
Yep.
To where a local game store, the people, you kind of know what kind of list they're going to bring. Whenever you go to get a pickup game, it's, at least for me, it seems most of the time it's after a tournament has just ended. And I'm like, oh, hey, you want to play a quick game? And I'm like bringing these models I like versus these tournament lists. It's just getting plastered off the board, But
I always hate hearing that during a pickup game. Hey, man, you want to get in the game? Yeah, I've got this tournament list I've been working on for a while. God,
exactly. But it's to that point where would you play a tournament list or just prefer not to play at all?
Oh yeah, of course. Which I have to say, again, we will get into this a little bit more, but I can see the experience in your gameplay that you have been playing against some more competitive players in the change from when I used to play against you in 7th edition and we had 2 or 3 8th edition games, but versus playing you now. You were definitely you've acquired some skills. Your screening is on point. Your wrapping and trapping. That's something that tournament players get used to doing. There were a lot of things that were really, really tactical that I don't remember seeing in your playbook before.
Yeah, well, definitely playing tournament lists gives you that you have to get a little more strategic, But man, even in our game, I think all 3 of us have picked that up since 7th edition. 7th edition, I really feel which it might be just because we started in 7th,
Right.
It's kind of like put your toys down and shoot. And all 3 of us, I think, evolving from 7th to 8th to 9th, the tactics have gone up so much since then.
One thing that hasn't changed that I really enjoy about playing you, and I think Freak and I were talking about this, and I think you and I talked about in the car a little bit the other day, is that something that always makes for a good time that I enjoy playing against you is that you, instead of being the competitive guy, you've always been the what's fun to play right now. It's not just going to be a cookie cutter tournament list when I go to play against you. You'll throw some things that are completely out of the box, which I love. I was showing some of our friends the other day, hey, we had this great game. And they're like, oh, okay, what were the lists? And I kind of, read them your list, and they're like, why would anyone take that many veterans instead of just more bodies? So, but it's just because we and I know you talk about how you do test dice rolls instead of math.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah,
you just like to bring interesting lists, though.
Oh, definitely. But I think that's another great thing, talking about, once again, the how our old group versus competitive play and going to stores. Last time we played, I don't think any of us were bringing a competitive list. I think all 3 of us were just bringing what we wanted to play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it made for a lot funner experience. To where if you go to a store, if you don't bring a competitive list, you might not have that much fun if you don't mind losing. You know what I mean? So a lot of these units and models sometimes don't ever get to see the board. unless you play home brews and stuff, you know?
I totally agree. Totally agree. Also, because we're not prepping for tournaments, I like that we kind of allow people to expand our list. We don't mind each other kit bashing, scrap building, converting. You know, we can be that casual in our own homes, you know. I don't mind, you know, the fact that we still allow each other to play Legends is cool. I'm looking forward to bringing some of those, you know, but again, people who are prepping for a tournament, of course, aren't going to be down with that kind of thing. So I think there's just a lot of things that, I don't know, it's just a better variety, I think, playing against, you know, fellow filthy casuals like myself.
Or it's like, what do you call it? You were saying in 8th edition, you loved bringing your Wolf Cavalry.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't efficient, but it's some unit that you just have to stick with. It's your niche. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. They got nerfed so hard at the beginning of 8th edition. And what I painted up 9 of them while they were bad. I'm like, I'm taking these guys.
Like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out Freak's niche unit. I'm starting to think maybe it's the aggressors. I think ever since he painted those, I've never seen them not on the board.
Nonsense. I don't know what you're talking about.
I've only seen them not on the board one time. That's because he was trying out his Centurions instead. So it's like, I need something that kicks out 1,000 shots. We'll replace the 1,000 shots of the aggressors with 1,000 shots of the Centurions.
I got to ask you then, Freak, what is your niche unit?
For now,
even if it wasn't point efficient, what would you bring anyway?
Well, between my aggressors and my Centurions for now, I really do like them both because they're beefy. They're mobile tanks, if you will. They're just nonstop, you know, they're shooting beasts. That's what I love, and they can take a hit. That's what I like. So that's why I like the aggressors a lot.
Care to hear my perspective on that, Freak?
Sure, why not?
For you, something I've seen you play even when everybody else said they were bad, you always managed to find a way to deal some good damage with your Terminators.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody said they were bad and overcosted, and you just kept bringing them, and you kept making them work. They scored you play of the game several times.
They did. That they did. So, I mean... Yeah. But, I mean, for the most part, like, you know, for the cost, it got to the point to where it's like, well, you know, I might as well just bring my aggressors, you know, and because I do like my Terminators, don't get me wrong, I think they're great, but I got a feeling now that they're going to get a little more love. I don't know. I think things are going to get better because, I mean, 2 versus 1 wound. Now that that's increased, you know what I mean? So that's going to change.
Yeah. And now that they're talking about how with the regular Marines going to 2 wounds, those same Terminators might even go up to 3 wounds.
Right.
Which would be cool.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to see how that's going to work out. So.
Heck yeah, and the 2 wounds thing is amazing, man. I didn't realize that they had 2 wounds apiece in our last game. I was like, when you brought the 5-man squad, I was like, oh, that ain't gonna be too bad. And they're like, they're all 2 wounds. I was like, that's gonna be a little tougher to chew through.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's gonna work out. So I just gotta keep an eye on it.
All right, I'm gonna catch up with the chat real quick, guys, because we got some fantastic people here already. Brother, the Commodore from High Orbit says, Mythos, we all know you constantly look up new ways to beat the Tau, looking like a conspiracy theorist. No, I don't. I have a policy.
Don't fight him.
My policy is, hey there, is Scott home? Bust through the window. Oh, man. So let's see. Atlas, he who inspired some of my Space Wolves as the Kit Bash man. You know, I've never got around to building. I have one Wolf Priest with Jump Pack, but I never got around to building my own Wolf Priest in Terminator armor because the one I got from you that's kit bashed together is super cool looking, and I just love your takes on these units, and so I've always kept that one instead as my Terminator and my Terminator Wolf Priest. Your Space Wolves were some of my favorite Kit Bash things.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all. It's cool to hear. I know I'm in the same boat as Big D. I think said it. Kit bashing, yeah. Painting, no.
My favorite were your Wolfen, man. Oh my god.
I still got 2 of those.
Yeah, I love your Wolfen, man. They just look so cool.
I'm so sad about those Wolfen because they were so wonderful.
Yeah, you did such an amazing job on those, dude.
Man, the Freak did an amazing job fixing them. That's a huge part of it, though.
Yeah,
I just put them together. Freak makes them look pretty.
Brother Archer says you made me cry salty tears of frustration and blue-skinned hate. Blue-skinned hate. It's funny. So Commodore sent me a picture today in one of our Discord chats that said, and to make you feel conflicted now, and he sent me a picture of a sexy Tau, and I'm like, hey man, I'm not conflicted at all. Yeah, I love Tau babes in the sheets. I just don't want them on my tabletop streets. And so he came back and said, look, babe, I love you and all, but the second you start rolling dice, I'm out of here.
That's pretty amazing.
I said, for real though, if she brings a Riptide to the bedside, that's it. That's a deal breaker. I'm out. Let's see. You fought the law on one. Salt, salt, cry, rinse and repeat. Salt, salt, cry. Mythos in the corner. Against the Tau, yes. That's why I don't play them anymore.
They're busting your chops on this one, I think.
But I did tell them the story about. I have told them many stories of how the Tau broke me. So, not here in Madrid, Spain. I'd freak. I don't know if you can see the chat. I don't know if you have like your phone or whatever set up to see the chat, but I can't read the Spanish. But that's because he bought too much Flames of War stock and he couldn't shift, and his online shop, which was no good, didn't show it stocked. That sucks. My local store closed for a couple of weeks, but thankfully they're back open. That's good to hear. They've been a local staple for card games and comics since I was a kid, so I doubt they were going anywhere. Nice.
And I will say that it seems like the card shops did fine through all this, but the ones that were more fixed towards 40K and tabletops that didn't have a lot of like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, that kind of stuff, were the ones that closed. Did anyone else notice that? Because it was just the 40K shops that seemed to have problems around here.
Well, to be fair though, 40K is a much more niche hobby than Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh.
I totally agree with you on that. I'm just saying, I wonder if that's a...
You can go to any cafeteria, at a high school here in the U.S., and you'll find somebody at lunch playing Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh.
That's very true. Very true.
Mythos caught the Kit Bash bug. 2020 is insane. Hey. I'll have you know, I was really proud of 2019. That's where the Wolf Lord Mythos, and got to double check the book on this before I put my foot in my mouth. White Scar. Con on Jet Bike. So my Con is Super Kit Bashed. My Wolf Lord Mythos is Super Kit Bashed. Those were both 2019, good sir. All right. Sorry about that in y'all's ear. That was a lot louder than I expected. I play a lot of tournaments and do well with non-meta lists. And see, that Running Bear is always something. I'm always interested about hearing how your lists work out, because you always do something interesting, something that's not the cookie cutter tournament list. I always try and win with a solid list instead of an over the top one. Very cool.
Yeah.
Tacticals. Freak is all about regular ass troops. Yes, he is.
Running Bear is so bad that he had to use black market to get by for GW.
He was just mentioning this weekend that he can't wait till they go back to, till tacticals go back to
who said that?
bring him back to the tabletop.
Who said that?
Brother Archer.
Oh, yeah.
You know, one of our brothers who's going to call us out the most. Oh, we've got Viking Lord Adam Dodge in the chat. Which, by the way, you can still head on over to the Pagan Miniatures and get in late on the Kickstarter. Get some badass werewolves and Vikings for all your hobby needs.
Yeah.
Or your kit bashing needs.
Or your kit bashing needs. Mythos How to Beat Tau book is thicker than an encyclopedia set. It started out as a Rolodex, guys. Tips to beat the Tau. And then eventually the Rolodex filled up and I started compiling them into a book. And now I've got, you know, a massive encyclopedia going. He who doesn't like to build at all, Mythos. Yeah, I still don't like to build, but kit bashing is different, man. I don't know why. I can't build I'm a slow ass builder. But when I get lost in trying to make something different and unique, or I don't know why, problem solving is one of my things. Like I told you, in one of the moves, some of the pieces for that orc truck I hadn't gotten around to putting together yet kind of got busted and missing, right? And so when I was having to do some kit bashing to figure out how to get my orc truck together, for some reason, trying to figure out a way to fill the missing pieces and make it look good, I don't know. That was I don't know. It was just a cool challenge trying to.
Yeah, that definitely impressed me. I was really impressed.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Soon with this secondhand battle wagon I bought. It's normal. It's all together. Although two of the exhausts here were broken when I got it, so I filled that in with exhaust from the Death Dread, and it looks like it belongs there now. And I've got a Puppets War Death roller coming, so I can stick it on the front. And I've got in some of this diamond plate plastic card, which I need to find something to reinforce first. But I'm going to put that down on top. I'm going to kit bish apparently this into a bone breaker, and so I'm going to put some custom pieces on there. And then I ordered two Puppets War hatches for the big shooters on top. And I'm like, I want 4 of them, and I could have easily put 2 more hatches on there, but I decided I wanted to make it thematic. So I've got 2 of these big shooter boys here, and I'm not running shooting orcs anyway, so I don't need this many big shooter boys, but I'm going to have them sticking out the side, dacking out the window, and just take them off their base and have them kind of shooting out the windows. And this is going to be my quadra shooter bone breaker by the time I'm done booting this baby. I mean, you know, kit bashing this baby up. So I don't know why orcs have really just, don't mind the scenery I'm knocking over in the background. Orcs have just really kind of gotten my kit bash bug going. Let's see, Vikings and werewolves sounds very Rus. Yes. Actually, that's one of the things I really love. So one day, I've had people ask me before, because I think some of you know that my space wolves are a custom color. They're black and silver, and I call them my Silver Moon Space Wolves. And I've got my own fluff, my own lore for my space wolf. Some people have asked me to do that, and I'm like, well, I want to tell that story one day, but I don't just want it to be me sitting in front of the camera telling my story. I'd like to actually have something visual to look at. And for me, it goes all the way back pre-transformation, when my characters are still in a Fenrisian village. And I wanted to get some good Viking miniatures to do the Fenrisian village as I told that part of the story. And when I saw those Vikings from Pagan Miniatures, I knew I had some of the badass warriors from my Fenrisian village. So I think that's going to be, eventually down the line, I want to paint those guys up, and I want to tell the story of the Silver Moon Space Wolves.
That'd be pretty tight.
You'd be pretty tight.
Whoa.
Kaiju says, always love dropping in to see Freak shaking it.
Thank you, Australian Jesus.
Okay, so you know how, like, when your feed, you get to the bottom of your feed and there's like one last line, right? it cut off, and I didn't see shaking it at first. It was off the bottom of my screen, and I just saw Kaiju come and say, "Always love dropping into Sea Freak." I'm like, "Well, geez, what am I, chopped liver?" And then I scrolled up and I saw the shaking. I'm like, "Oh, okay."
That's awesome.
Kaiju, the Viking brother from down under. Adam Dodge, you are welcome, my brother. Hey, I really love these miniatures, and I want as many people as possible to head over to Pagan Miniatures and get some badass Pagan miniature models too. Feel like that needs to flood the hobby market. And also, I feel like if this Kickstarter is super successful, some more of your badass creativity may come into the hobby in the form of future models. So that's something else I'm excited for too. Kit Bash Bug, Exterminatus Hammer, because we've got Brother Archer wielding the banhammer. The Kit Bash Bug is the 40k virus Mythos is infected with. X-Gear Commander, happy freaking Friday. How is everyone doing? I'm good.
Did we tell anybody what we're doing? Because we're just going on, and they don't realize what we're doing.
Hey, I've just been catching up with the chat. There's just a lot of chatter tonight.
They're talkative, aren't they?
And last thing, Adam Dodge says, that sounds epic, Mythos. Thank you. I've been thinking about doing a diorama with my Vikings all fighting each other while being watched by a chaplain. Ooh.
Pretty cool.
That does sound awesome. Adam Dodge, I'm going to kit bash your werewolves into wolfen. All right. You can see Freak is at his hobby desk tonight. You've seen me do a little bit of edge highlighting and just mostly licking my brush a lot. So you guys can probably tell it's kind of become a little ritual for us now. On the eve before a UK-friendly chat, instead of doing the full-blown show, we usually do a hobby hangout and get in a little hobby while we just chat along with you guys and kind of prep for the big show the next day. But we got a twist. Freak, what is that twist?
We get to talk about our 9th edition game.
Our 9th edition game.
By the way, this is an opportunity that I get a break from doing studio work, so yay.
And so the way it worked out, because I let the two of them go first since they both traveled to play at my place. I let the two of them go first and just said, hey, I'll play winner in case anybody needs to head home. And then I did. So I'm going to let y'all talk about your game first, and then I'll jump in wherever I feel like I can add to the conversation. How do you gents feel like your game went?
Well, I think both games were awesome.
Both games were awesome.
I think I want to say that was my first 9th edition game. I think both of y'all played a couple though, right?
Yeah. Yep. This was the third game for us.
Third game for y'all. As a, I guess, first view of it. At first, I was going in thinking, well, there isn't a lot of models on the table, you know? But, man.
Yeah, 750 for sure.
What is it?
At 750 for sure. We were definitely playing a smaller point game. It
was 750. I mean, most of what you ever play at the shop is like 1,500 and up.
Right.
At least me. So 750 didn't feel like that much, and with everything being the points increase, it seemed like less. But I will tell you, we went 5 rounds, and it was close. Closer than any 1,000 up point game I've ever played, you know it? So I don't know. I don't know how y'all's previous games were really. How did you feel about it, Freak?
It was really good. So of course, you know, it was Imperial Fist versus Guard, and I took a different list than I normally take because I'm kind of making changes based off of the fact that I'm taking less models, but I want more bang for my buck, right? And I found that there was a lot of positioning it was the quintessential chess game. It really was, and that's how I felt. It was a very, very strategic, full-on because each one of us were making different positioning plays that we didn't really expect to do,
Right.
or expect each other to do. You know, everything is out the window with expectations on how the other person, because of the type of gameplay that we did. And
The missions were way, way interesting, even compared to our first game.
right, yeah, they really were, because of the 700 point. And like I said, the fact that you know, that here we are, we have enough. Okay, when you guys know this, when you first approach a game, you have an idea of how you want to strategize, set your models up, and then get to the objectives, all right, or whatever it is you're trying to do. Well, remember, every counter move causes you to make changes on the fly. That's how it is. So you can't always predict what the other person's going to do. And one of the things that I found that was really, really well done was the fact that he had two models. Hang on, my stupid light just decided to give up. Goes. Really? Are you done? Are you done? Is that what it is? Freaking not. All right, screw it. He had these two. What were the those battery? The tank looking things there, Atlas?
The Chimeras?
Well, you had the Chimeras, and you had that big one with a huge ass freaking
The Basilisk was in the back.
Basilisk, that's what it is. So basically, he capitalized on the rule that if you're outside and behind, or say behind and outside of the terrain zone within the ruin, they're out of sight. They're out of line of sight. And he kept that thing all the way to the corner of that table, and he was able to do these bombardments. I was not expecting that. I was really caught off guard and almost helpless. So I scrambled like crazy to try to find a way to mitigate, you know, that mess. But while he was bombarding me, he was sending me all of his midgets at me. And and he really, you know, he really did a good job. Now I was really pleased how the Imperial Fist, you know, held off for the most part. But my purpose, I actually went on the offense. Typically, my play style is stand back, shoot the hell out of them, and then advance. Well, in this particular game, I wanted to capture two particular objectives. The north and south objective, which gives you 14 points right off the bat. And yeah, so of course I shot out like a bullet, went straight for the objectives, and it was basically almost like capture the flag or King of the Hill type of game, because it was definitely grueling, but it was a lot of fun. It was a very close game.
The game type we were playing, by the way, was called Divide and Conquer.
Yes.
Which is really different than previous 9th edition games we played, because the objectives are so damn close to each other. I think they were 9 inches?
Yes.
Away from each other.
They're 10 inches from each other.
10 inches.
10 inches.
Yeah.
So they were really within breathing distance of each other. So it was kind of a cluster F in the middle of the board, everybody trying to fight for these objectives. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. And it was the first time that I actually got to take Tor Garradon. I paired him up with my aggressors. They didn't make it. My poor aggressors got seriously smoked by that stupid, whatever the hell it's called.
The basilisk.
Freaking basilisk. You go to hell. But yeah, no man. I mean, but overall, I think Tor Garradon on his own definitely held his own. I don't think I played him as well as I'd like. I'm still learning him, but there's a few things that I'm going to work with him on. I got to study a little bit more. But definitely gave me the motivation to finish painting him.
Very cool, very cool. Atlas, from your perspective, anything in the game you want to mention?
So before I say anything on the game, I cheated. I know, shocker, right? But it was not intentional. I got extra command points that I didn't realize I had. All right. Which I actually didn't figure out till yesterday, because Mythos and Oni were talking about the command points and how to do it on Battlescribe. And my understanding was whichever detachment you had your warlord in, those command points were negated. But it was only troop choices. And I took 2 vanguards. So I shouldn't have had the points I had. And I think it actually played a big role in the game, because I spent 2 of those command points that I shouldn't have had and put some veterans in reserve. And I think in both of our games, those reserve units actually helped a ton. I know for sure in mine and Mythos game, I think the reserves didn't play as big of a part in mine and Freak's game until later. But, so saying that first, I cheated.
I don't think it was that big of a deal, honestly. I mean,
you dirtbag.
I know. I promise I won't do it again. At least not to y'all. No, I'm kidding. But, in all honesty, it was a great game, even with that. I think Freak was up on me by the first 3 turns. He was up maybe 30 points on me, which I tried to rush to the objectives. But I think I went turn 2 on both games. And just because you have to hold the objective to actually get it, it's not like in the 8th edition when you drew the cards, it's either secure the objective or hold the objective. It's hold the objective, period. And that sounds bad, but it actually made the game a lot funner, because it was constantly back and forth. And I think both Imperial Fists and Guard traditionally like to castle up, which in a sense we had units that did castle. I had the Basilisk and you had the Hellblasters up there just nuking everything. I mean, Plasma was falling over everything. Chimeras were exploding. And I was like, man, it's no big deal, because, Hellblasters, they'll probably wipe 2 or 3 of a 10-man unit, but that's about it. I know they'll kill them, but it's only infantry. Freak rolled like so many high numbers on one Hellblaster roll. I think his whole unit hit and wounded, and it took out an entire 10-man squad with just 5 Hellblasters. And I was like, oh, I really need to be afraid of those.
These learned the hard way from that. Yeah.
But man, those Hellblasters did some work, man. I was shocked by how much damage they put out. But the overall game itself, I don't remember the points in the end. I know.
You want me to get the board?
Yeah, you won the game.
I know it changed. It changed drastically at the very end, though. It was like the last 2 rounds was where everything was swinging and changing. But mercy.
That was a fantastic game. And I think they made it for great dynamics in the game, man. It was just great.
Oh, definitely.
So it looks like turn 4, it was like 18-20 in Atlas's favor. It was really close, and then you got like 15, 17 more points in the last round, and of course, so it looks bad, 37-18. But it was just you had board control for just 1 turn, and you can score. The primary objectives can give you 15 points a turn. So
yeah, I had to skip a. Yeah, I didn't get any points for I think turn 3. I lost that ability, because I lost positioning, so I lost control of the objective.
And I kind of talked to Mythos about this for a minute, talking about which I think you said it was for competitive play, like tournaments and whatnot. But changing it from going like he won 6 points to 3 was so different, because it turns so fast. It sounds like a huge number, but when you can make 17 points in a single turn, it's really not,
Yeah.
So even if you're down 20, 30 points, you can keep pushing and actually come back from 30 points down, which sounds insane, especially from 8th edition. You never would have been able to do that, you know?
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to catch up in the chat real quick, and we're going to hit this a little bit more. Actually, Mythos isn't painting anything, just licking brushes. Looper says it's a sad gamer that can't lick the tip. So I has heard.
Wow.
Everyone has their shots ready, right?
Right.
I rinse my mouth with hot water before I lick my brush. Do a Slacker chat before pressing the UK. Hey, that's not the way it is at all, guys. We're just that's not how it is. It's not doing a Slacker chat. It's called prepping.
Slacker, right here. Oh, I'm a slacker. I'll take that.
Hellworth also says, did Freak not roll freaks?
Dude, Freak actually, in my opinion, rolled pretty good.
I didn't do too bad. No, I didn't do too bad at all.
He had his usual, like, first turn, amazing.
No.
He used Nurgle dice. That's what it was, though.
No,
or was it the other way?
What's weird is that, okay, so typically I do that. I'll come out strong, you know.
And then flip.
And then flip. That didn't happen. As a matter of fact, I lost the
initiative.
Yeah, and Atlas, he went first. Dude started coming in strong.
No, Freak, you went first.
Oh, that's right. I went first, right.
You rolled a 6, and we asked if there was still steal the initiative.
Right.
Initiative.
Right, and then but he came in strong though, and I'm like, okay, great, this is gonna suck. Sure enough, turn 2 and 3, Atlas started rolling like crap. I'm like, this looks familiar.
But you know, you had a pretty strong start too, because like off the jump, you know, turn 2 or turn 1, I think you blew up a Chimera. Turn 2, you blew up turn 2 and turn 3, you blew up a Chimera.
Turn 2 and 3. That's what I'm saying. My start wasn't that great. It was towards 2 and 3, and then that's when his 2 and 3 started going to crap.
Yeah.
You know what it was, though, right? You didn't use your dice.
that's what it is.
You used the dice that I used whenever I was playing my Nurgle.
What was I using? I was using a yellow dice. Your little yellow dice.
Those are the ones I used whenever I used my Poxwalkers.
Oh, that's what it is. Dang
I think Nurgle's telling you something, Freak.
Dang it.
Freak falling to chaos over the streets.
No, he's just blessed by chaos.
I can see that.
Or maybe it's because it was your fist colors, as the yellow and black dice, right?
Yeah, but I've got fist-colored dice, and they don't like me. No, it was a great game, man. I really had a good time. And like I said, honestly, okay, so once again, this is our third game, right, Mythos? Our third game, 9th edition?
Yep.
And I have to say that I have been very, very pleasantly pleased and surprised how much fun it was. It did take us almost 2 hours. So it was 1 hour and 45 minutes, roughly, to play the game. But we were just relaxed, having a good time. So 750 points, almost 2 hours. That's not too bad. I'm timing it because I'm just trying to see, you know, how we do with these games. Because I remember when we were playing in 8th edition, it didn't matter. I mean,
no, 8th edition, 2 hours, we'd just be all right. Now on to turn 2.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, good grief. So, yeah. So far, I've also been, you know, pretty encouraged about that, because honestly, by the time we're playing, you know, another 5 hours of the game, we're still on turn 2. I'm wiped. I'm like, you know what? Just kill me. Just kill me. Get it over with. Can we just do this? It's not fun anymore. You know, it's like. But this is actually a lot more thrilling. We were able to do 2 games in one night. So that was a lot of fun. So I'm very happy, very impressed how Atlas handled his guard. Atlas is no joke. He's a very, very tough opponent. I'm surprised at how well I held up against him, but I'll be honest with you, he is a strategizer, and he definitely adapts. He adapts very, very well. So hats off to you, brother. You did a great job.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I kind of felt the other way around. Felt more like I was holding off the fists, but man, they had like you could hear in the background Darth Vader's theme song, the march. They had like full board control by turn 2.
I think in the end, it was. I really feel like it swung when you pulled down to Porgaradon.
Yes.
With just a number of shots.
Yep.
Like,
I think you definitely knocked the wind out of me for that one, because it was like, holy crap. Okay.
You were making those 4 bin bowls for a while, but I think the numbers just eventually pulled them down.
Yeah, that's true.
The Torberion tanked a ton, man.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys kind of, I don't know if you guys remember very well. Do you guys kind of remember a little bit of the play-by-play, what y'all did in turns 1, 2, 3, 4?
I don't remember crap. You asked the wrong guy. I barely remember that's a wolf. Is that a wolf?
CRS, which is a very serious medical condition.
I know Freak's turn 1 was a little unproductive, just because everything was pretty hidden turn 1.
Yeah.
With the way you had the ruins set up.
Yeah.
And you got a couple shots off on a Chimera. Turn 2, can't remember. I know that's whenever your Hellblaster started being able to actually get some work done.
Mm-hmm.
And you start popping Chimeras turn 2.
Yeah, my aggressor started getting some shots out. My my Inceptors, you know what? My Inceptors didn't do a whole lot. They got wiped really quick.
And I think 2 of them were popped turn 1 though.
Yeah.
I think that is the very first thing I shot at with the basket.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like it was bad. Okay.
But the single one did work.
Yes, that one little guy. Yep.
But the one guy made like a 20-inch charge. He like moved and made like a 10-inch, 11-inch charge and held up everything. Like, without his brothers, he did friggin' beastly.
I always think Jimmy and Bob were holding me back.
What is it? Dude, I'm not joking. His aggressor made a phenomenal charge. And it was, I think I had the very front unit tied up, like the way the objectives were scattered out. There's one closer to me, one closer to Freak, and then 2 right in the center. I had one tied up in the front, and his aggressor was like moved to the halfway mark, and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to make it, but just for fun, I'm going to charge this aggressor across the board into that unit. Oh, all right, Freak. Like you're going to make that. And he rolls like a 5 and 6 for a charge. He's like, oh, I guess I make it. It was an amazing roll. It was pretty amazing.
He did not roll Freaks. In fact, Atlas started rolling a lot of 1s towards the end of the game. He's like, did I pass on the curse?
Yeah,
Freak is over there with like a voodoo doll, rolling dice in hands. Yeah, but yeah, in all honesty, though, it was an amazing game. He did awesome. I think the Fists actually did an amazing job. I was more afraid of the Fists because of the ability to ignore cover. And guards not having a big save, you know. But the weird rules of the new 9th edition, like if you're on the other side of the ruins, they just can't shoot you, period.
Outside of the footprint, no line of sight.
It actually changed that up a lot. And as well as having, we had 2 cargo shipping containers in the center of the board, sitting on top of each other, and it blocked a lot of sight. So I feel like one of the Fist's biggest advantage didn't get to get played as much as it usually does. Not on any fault of Freaks, but just because of the way the terrain was set up in
Yep.
that game.
Yep.
Which,
Mhm.
by the way, and that's kind of like the recommended state of play at the moment. Is
Oh,
they
no.
recommend a lot of line of sight blocking terrain.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that was any fault on you either, Mythos. I think it was very
That was
set
more
up
just a
for it.
state on. That was just more a statement on what Ninth Edition is.
Yeah. But I came into the game worrying more about that, and just the way Ninth Edition is now, I feel like they kind of handicap you with the fact that there's so many different kind of terrains. Just that ability in itself, you know. Obviously, it's still a great ability, but now there's more strategic use to it, as well as trying to hide from it. To where before, if you were in cover, you're in cover, but you're going to get shot out. You know?
Yeah, but now what kind of cover?
Exactly. So it changed it a lot.
Do you
Yeah,
think?
on one hand, it did nerf him with the number of the different kinds of cover. You're right, but on the other hand, here come October, they're going to buff the other part of his ability. So instead of getting an extra hit on 6s, he'll be getting 2 extra hits on 6s,
Right.
which I think is really just going to up his DACA.
Let me ask you something,
Yeah.
Atlas. You've heard us talk about the games before, right? For Ninth Edition. Did you find the gameplay how we described it? Would you say it was accurate? I mean, what we would say is that we were worried because of all the terrain rules, you know, and all the terrain stats. But once we had an idea and we got comfortable, we had an idea how the terrain stats really work. It wasn't really too much of a big deal. It was just, you get to learn to use them, to your advantage or to help your thing. How did you find it?
So it definitely felt a lot more relaxed, after round 1 or something like that. And that was my first game in 9th edition. So I hadn't played with any of the new terrain sets yet. But Mythos stuck out like sticky notes on each one of them. And it was like a quick reminder. And the first 2 or 3 turns, you definitely needed that. So the only thing I would say really about the terrain thing is, yes, it is confusing. But anyone that has played Warhammer before, I think will catch on relatively fast. But if it was a brand new player to Warhammer, period, it would be a little overwhelming.
That's a good point.
And
I can see that.
So, short answer is, I think it's fine. But I don't know how I would address it as far as new players go.
That's a good observation. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you and Mythos explained it really well to the point where we could just pick up the game and start playing. And after turn 1, we kind of knew what each structure did.
Right.
Now, if we played another game, though, I think there was how many different kinds of terrain features? Like,
Oh yeah,
10, right?
Oh, there's
exactly.
so many.
Exactly. We only used, maybe 4 or 5 of the
Right.
types of example terrains they give. But
So-
I mean, there's definitely many more combinations we could have had.
So it's hard to say for sure if it is better or worse until you played every type, which I think, with all honesty, would take a while. And if you tried to make a board with all the types, it would just get ridiculous.
Yeah.
But in the way y'all set it up, which Mythos said was the recommended, right?
Yeah, just the amount of terrain. And actually,
Amount of terrain.
well, okay, so the amount is actually probably not quite 9th edition standard yet, but like the ratio of how much of your terrain should be line of sight blocking
Right.
was kind of the recommended.
Okay. Well, the way you set it up was very easy to adapt to. I certainly didn't have any problem with it. And if you were to explain it well to someone, I don't think they would have any problem with it either.
And I think that's Warhammer in general. I feel like when you have someone walking you through the rules,
Yes.
at the beginning, Sid, and then after a while, he who we're not going to name, and then after Brother Ethan learned the rule, Brother Ethan was our rule book for the longest time.
Right.
I think having good people to walk you through the rules is important no matter what edition we're in.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
And once again, that goes back to community. It's the Warhammer community really helps so much.
The question I would have for y'all, now that y'all played, I think 3 games, you said, with the terrain, are you going to change it up, or are you going to become familiar with those terrain pieces and kind of lean on those, if you know what I'm saying? I have a feeling that the terrain, the way it's set up now, you're going to find that you want to use certain ones and forget about the others.
No, for me, I'm just going to answer for me, but I imagine Mythos may have a similar opinion, but my opinion on that is that the reason why we're doing these small tests, these small games, is because I want to learn 9th edition. The problem that I had in 7th and 8th is that I did not venture out enough. I did not play the different styles, and honestly, I'll be honest, this is fess up time. I was not looking forward to 9th edition with all these, what do you call it? These missions, if you will.
Newfangled.
Huh?
I said these newfangled versions.
Yeah, I really was not looking forward to it. But honestly, since I played them, I've really, really enjoyed it. And again, my main thing is that I want to learn more about the game. So yeah, for me, I'd like to change things up. It spices things up a little better. So the larger the board, the more opportunities we'll be able to have to, add the different terrain that does the different effects. Like craters. We don't have craters. We didn't play with anything that give you.
We don't need no craters.
We didn't have anything that will slow you down or give you a -1.
-1 to charge or -2 to charge. Absolutely not.
so it's that, and so I think it just makes it that much more fun, to experiment. So that's just my take.
I'm sorry?
No, that's just my take, I'm saying.
No. With that mindset, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I know in my mindset, since we played that, I would only lean on it because I'd want to get the game rolling quicker.
Right.
Like you said, I think you said it took us 2 hours to get the first game through.
Right.
Which, even though it's better than what we would have done in 8th edition, to try to speed that up faster, I would set up the old board just because we already knew the rules for it.
Right. No, right.
Now, if you had the time and everything, which you generally want to have the time whenever you sit down to play a Warhammer game, but unless you had the time, I wouldn't want to learn all the different terrains. And
which let's face it, typically, whenever we play, we screw around for the first 45 minutes.
Screw that.
Yeah.
Then we look at the time, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to get back to Lily. So we need to hurry up and get this game started.
Yeah.
And we throw some terrain down, we throw our lines down, and we hurry up and get started as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
And I still feel like. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. You're forward.
I still feel like with the new rules, it's going to be really weird going into a shop to set up terrain, which I have not done in 9th edition. So if someone has and they comment on it, it'd be cool to hear their opinion on it. But going to a shop and talking to someone and being like, all right, what terrain are we using? I feel like it would take a long time unless someone was just like, I don't care, set it up. I feel like it'd be difficult to talk to someone you didn't really know and set up a board with so many different types of terrains.
I agree. There's got to be more conversation involved because you got to agree, because there are examples in the book, right? And everything's got its own combination. So you got to agree with your opponent. Okay, what is this going to count as? It's going to count as ruins. Okay, so we're using these standard ruins rules. Yes. What about these? That's going to be defensible. Well, is it really going to be defensible, or are we going to use one of these preset listings? You got to have the conversation with your opponent.
Right.
So even though I think it was built towards supposed to be competitive, tournament play and whatnot, I feel like it actually leans more heavily towards household games, having friendly competitive games, setting up the board. But once again, I have not played at the shop on 9th edition. I haven't played with anyone I didn't know. So it'd be interesting to hear someone's opinion that actually has went to a shop, a tournament, or something like that, and has played with these rules.
That's fair. I'm going to catch up there with the chat because we've been kind of neglecting them.
Yeah.
I feel like there's an Orc Knob joke in there somewhere.